Hey everyone, this is Cheryl and David. I'm with Sublimation for Beginners and Beyond Facebook group, and of course, David is with Condi. How are you today, David? How's things
Gerald,
going?
very well. It was good to see you and many of your folks there in Charlotte. We had a great time. What a tremendously good show.
Yeah,
Just
David, I have to tell you that there was probably 50 people for my group there. And some I had never met before, and it was so exciting. I got to tell you, I was thrilled to meet so many of them. So it was really cool. It was off the charts as far as I'm concerned. It was one of the best shows of the year besides the Sublimation Summit.
yeah, it was to end the year. This would be really the last show I think of our year, and it was the best. Just
Yeah.
tremendous good folks. Standing room only in my class. Um,
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, absolutely.
so they were
That was
very
really.
scary when we got there because there was this huge line, and we're going, "Holy, you know what?" Because I like to begin my classes on the minute, and I like to end them on the minute. And I'm going like, "Can these people get into the room fast enough so I can start my class?" So it was great group, lots of questions. Some cities there people, I guess, are shy to ask questions. These folks asked many questions. Um, so it was really good. The booth, lots of great folks came by.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, now we're showing three sublimation printers, which is very difficult to get used to. The 400, the 800, and of course the new Epson. So it's just a lot going on in the booth. So just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I almost canceled going to that show, and the only reason I didn't was because I had a non-refundable um uh hotel room, and I thought, "Oh, there's no way." Cuz so many it seemed like it was going to be a really small show, and in essence it really was, but it was hopping. I mean, it was really a phenomenal show.
It
So
was
I'm
I think it
so
was a
glad I went.
small show from a vendor point of view, and that made it, I think, a higher quality show.
Yeah,
We
I would
got to
agree.
spend time with folks and show off, and of course, we love doing our kiosks because that's the hands-on experience for folks. So, I thought it really worked out well.
Well, I got to tell you, I let me tell you something I did the other day, and you know, good or bad or indifferent, I did it. We had finally, with having 3 or 4 people adding people to the group, it it was really so cumbersome. Honestly, trying to go through each and every account. So we had like 7,500 plus, and I just wiped them all out. I deleted everyone. So now it's manageable, and I am so grateful because I mean, even my other moderators and admins, they're like, "Wow, thank you so much," because it was just overwhelming. You walk in, or you go into the group, and there's I mean, no matter how many you added the day before, it seemed like it was insurmountable all the time. So we just, we wiped it out. So for those who are listening, and if you got deleted, it wasn't personal. Please, go back and add yourself, and request
So
again,
these
and
were the
we
folks
will
that
get you
were
added.
waiting to go into the group.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, seriously, it was really tough. It was just I mean, we had people all the way back from May of 2018, and it was just too much. It was. we just could not get through enough people. And so I had people adding, George was adding people from that were new, and Nancy was adding people that were old, and it just was, and she was adding people all the way. She had gotten all the way from November of 2017 people waiting. So it was crazy. So, and Karen says, I survived the 2019 cut. Woo. So, yeah. So, I mean.
By the way, I put on our trade show schedule the summit. The first pass that we were circulating, I said, well, the summit's not on here. And I said, okay, when is the summit? So I had put it on my calendar, and I think it's like September or something, or
September 10th through the 12th.
That's it. So we put it on there, so it's on there.
Yay. Yes.
3 days. 3 days.
Yes. 3 days. It's going to be exciting. It's just so can't wait for that. It's, well, I can because it's a lot of work, but.
Well, but believe it or not, it will be here before you can believe it.
I know. I know.
Thanksgiving is here, and so pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Barb says, good afternoon. Sound and video is great. They said you were echoing a little bit, but I think that's done. And hey, okay. Tony says, hello, David.
Hi, hey, Tony.
So I guess it doesn't mean he's saying hi to me, just to you, but that's fine. It's fine. No problem. I'm not taking it personal, Tony. It's all good. You did say hello to me this morning, so. So, David, let's talk about. I want to talk about a couple of things. Actually, I want to talk about the holidays because, people are getting ready for the holidays, and one of the things that's happening. Hey, Pam. One of the things that's happening is they're going to be inundated with a lot of new items and a lot of different companies coming at them. And so, I want to talk about some tips about that because you guys obviously have some great items that you guys have coming out. And I would say probably in the next few days, right?
There's just a lot of products, regardless of the time of the year, that are coming out, and so we'll start announcing them. There's and I was just checking on the status as we began the broadcast. That's why you were muted. So gotta go work on some things. I think a lot of our bandwidth, I would say for good reasons, has been consumed with the Epson launch. And so, obviously we only have a certain amount of bandwidth, certain amount of people. And so the Epson has been good. In fact, my article for A&E came out, I think, on Monday in the December issue of A&E magazine. And I think following my article is an article that some of your watchers may be familiar with.
What article is that one? We're 2 months behind, so I always forget.
So I something to do with sublimation, I think.
It's always to do with sublimation for sure.
Yes.
I don't remember what it is. I'll have to post it in the group.
So it's in the December issue of A&E. I'm trying to think of what products you were sublimating. I know I saw a mug in there. It was the product that you had cut with your laser, I assume.
Mixing it up.
Yeah.
That's the article, mixing it up. So I was talking about mixing it up with different items like, laser, putting some bling on a mug, which came out really cute.
So you need to PDF it and post it or whatever method.
I don't know how to do that. You were going to show me how to do that, but
so you can go to where you're opening the electronic version of it.
Right.
And at the top is a button you can click on to download the entire
Oh, I didn't
A&E
know
for
that.
December's edition as a PDF.
Okay.
You then can open the PDF in like Corel and grab those pages, save them
Okay,
back out
that's
as a PDF.
okay, that's perfect. I
And you want
didn't
to
know
save
that.
them out as a PDF for online publishing so that the size is minimal.
Okay, perfect.
So
Awesome.
it's only a few steps.
Okay, so we have a lot of hellos here. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate that. So I want to talk again. We were going to talk about maybe some Christmas items that I wanted to talk about anyway, um, because people are getting inundated. I know I am personally getting lots of emails from companies, and I mean, one of the things that I would say if you're selling online, I would not start just going after all these different items. If you can't do a mock-up, then I would tell you to pick, you know, 4 or 5 items and see how they're going to sell, because you don't want to end up where you're not selling anything. So you want to really limit, instead of giving people 10 options, you give them 5 options.
Yeah,
That's
I think it certainly that's good logic. I mean, there's two schools of thought. Sell a few very proven, tried and true products, and provide
yes.
a few products that they probably have never seen before.
Yep.
Um, and obviously, Christmas time ornaments are really good. You've got some very low cost ornaments like the metal unisub. Got a variety of those. Some of them look very attractive, like the Benelux double sided, nice. You can
Yeah.
go with a little bit higher end, like the acrylic, um, and the acrylic looks very classy. Looks expensive, so
You're talking about the color
yeah,
light acrylic. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is like, forget it. That's my favorite product. I mean, honestly. But this is always, to me, cutting boards are just a staple when it comes to Christmas to me. And
Sure.
it's not, I mean, this is something I did previously, but listen, I love it. I'm giving it away. I made several of them. I sold several of them, and I'm going to be giving away some of these because people love the cutting boards and they love wine. Just saying.
They're exceptionally nice.
Yeah,
No doubt
they
about
are.
it.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to mention again, um, that I think make, not necessarily something that you want to sell, because we kind of got into this whole thing about it, but when it comes to making it for gifts, I think it's great. And that is these camper mugs that you then use as a candle. And I love them. They turned out great. They were a huge hit for me. I decided not to sell them because of liability, and you have to have, if you're going to sell it, you need to make sure that you have indemnification on the bottom of it and the proper writing on it, or else you could get yourself into trouble.
Is
So
that something
Jennifer says
folks
hello.
can? Is that a template sort of that folks can download and print and stick?
Yes. Yes. Yep. So
You got to publish
what
that in the
I
group.
would, yeah. Well, you know what I did at one point, and I'm not sure what happened to it. It was in the files, um, but and I'll redo it again. But I would tell you to get those mates, and you can sublimate it right on that, and then put it on the bottom, and it's there. So, and then you can put your contact information on there as well.
Yeah, the mates would be very permanent, dishwasher safe. So if that's your intent, great. Otherwise, you can buy Avery laser stickers.
Well, that's true too, because, but the thing about this is once you use this as a candle and the candle's gone, you can then keep it as a mug. So it's not like, so it's actually kind of cool, but I guess you're right. You wouldn't need to have that. Okay. So hi, Margaret. Nice to see you. Is it the candle or just the metal mug that can get you into trouble? Okay, it is the candle, because you have to make sure that you have like warnings on the wick, warnings on if somebody gets burned with it, they could tip it over. So there's a saying that you have to put on the bottom of it. So I decided just to stay out of that arena and just give it to friends. But it's so easy to make the candles. So they just were such a huge hit for me. So I would definitely tell you to look into it, because
and
really
speaking
it was a
of
lot of
camp
fun.
mugs, one of the relatively new additions is that camp mugs have become a high volume product for us. So I went ahead and now have cut a camp mug paper. So you load it in the tray and you just print. So a lot of people, they're very high volume, and if you've got the paper cut already for the product, it pops out. You're not spending your time trying to put 3 of them on a piece of paper, whatever. You
Right.
just simply print, grab the paper, put it on there, and sublimate. And of course, you can do camp mugs in the oven, or you can do them in a heat press. I think the oven probably is the best way, but the paper is cut for traditional sublimation, meaning it stops at the handle.
Okay. So you guys have a template, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a
Okay.
template for people that want to do the all over print, and it's super cool. It looks great. But at this point in time, I'm trying to figure out how to make a paper perfect so that it's all set to go. And so the wheels are turning. So if you want to do that, you just use your scissors, and you cut out the area for the handles.
That's cool. That's cool. But it would be really cool if you actually had one, David, that you guys sold.
I think I can do it. I think I can do it.
Well, if anyone can, it'd be you for sure. Okay, so let's talk about the Epson for a minute. So I know a lot of people have been excited about the Epson, and of course, I just actually wrote or finished an article on Creative Studio for A&E.
Cool.
Yeah, I just finished it, and I think it comes out in January. And anyway, so one of the things that I want to say about the article or Creative Studio with Sawgrass is that, when you buy a Sawgrass printer, there is a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. Seriously, their artwork is pretty awesome. It's not, and what they're actually getting ready to do is really awesome. So, as far as I know, Sawgrass is the only sublimation printer that is all encompassing, meaning that they have a software that you can literally just have a Sawgrass have their software, and you can print and or create and print and press and have it all, so there's something to be said for that, for sure, especially people that are just getting started. Hey, Betsy, nice to see you.
That's a great subject to cover, because it's all about a value equation. And I talked to a lady the other day, and she had purchased from us in Epson, and I was helping her out, and I really expected her to be like already doing sublimation, maybe moving from a smaller Epson printer, um, or Rico or Sawgrass, but this was her first sublimation printer, and really, other than being a large printer, it's still just a printer.
Right.
But it was an interesting situation because I was just expecting her to, I guess, be a little bit up to speed, and she was like anybody else just starting, and and she may ultimately be, get great value from the printer, but I'm going like, you know, you have a really small press. She had an old clamshell, and I'm going like, you know, what should I tell her? So again, sort of the pecking order, I think is in my opinion, first is make sure you have a reasonable heat press. Um, if you're going to get the Epson, maybe there's a plan down the road to get a larger press. Um, with the Epson, I think there's some advantages for an existing sublimator. Obviously, it's a lower cost of operation, which is good. Obviously, you can print bigger, and as you pointed out earlier today, Cheryl, you can sublimate twice. Just print big print, sublimate, and that's okay. Um, so I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of advantages, but on the other hand, um, depending on your budget, depending on what your needs are, the 400 and 800 are just such turnkey giants. They're such turnkey
And
work
proven. And proven.
and,
Certainly
and and
proven.
very proven.
Yeah.
Um, the color management dialed in,
Yeah.
choices like VPM versus Spectre Fusion. Um, on the other hand, the Epson, you have a choice between the driver, which is of course bundled, works well. You can also at any point upgrade to Wasatch, and Wasatch would allow you to run multiple printers. It would allow you to do miscellaneous job layout, like you of course do with your Muto. So again, it's an interesting world that we're sitting in here in November of 2019. Um, we've got more choices, and I think to an extent more choices are good. Um, but the real key, of course, to sublimation is not the equipment. Equipment really is a necessary evil, right? You got to have
Right.
equipment. The focus needs to be on the strategy, the artwork creation, and your selling strategy. So just because you have a nice printer and nice heat press, that's not going to make you any money. You
Right.
got to get out there and sell it. So at the show, I know I talked to a couple of people, and they're going like, we bought our stuff last year and we got it. We've really not done much with it, and I think that's all too common. And it's because we need to give them a swift kick to get them out there. They're selling and showing people what they can do.
Yeah. Okay, so Tony asked, do we know the cost per square inch on the Epson? I had asked
So,
Alice, I just asked if she would post the number for the camper mug, and Alice, if you would post that for me, I would appreciate that. So people that want to get that camper mug can get that.
so
And
Tony, we have that number, and I've got numbers in my head, so I just don't want to throw out. But I can tell you that instead of quoting in a cost of square inches, the appropriate way to quote this printer is by square foot, because it's that low. And so, I think
And I would agree. I mean, when you're talking about
Yeah,
$18 for a bottle,
yeah.
I mean, it's
The artifact of Epson having such a great aggressive ink cost has been a couple of interesting. One is their ink cost is really below what we would call normal ink, you know?
right,
So
right.
that's pretty breathtaking. Number two is we're getting hit with people wanting to buy ink when they don't own the printer. And I assume what they're doing is they're saying, well, I guess Epson makes a good sublimation ink, so I'm going to pour it into my Epson printer. You know, maybe they're using Chinese ink in their printer now, and so no telling how this situation is going to work out. I think the Epson ink
So
is
wait a minute. So you're saying that people are buying the Epson ink that you currently have, but they don't own the Epson printer.
correct.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
And
Okay.
and that's what happens when they price their ink so low. You got people who either they want to buy an Epson printer and turn it into a sublimation printer, or they already have, and now they're saying, wow, I'm buying this ink, and the Epson ink, quote, quote, is less expensive. And what I would tell those people to do is probably don't do that. If you're working with a good company, you're buying their ink, and they're supporting you. Keep buying their ink. You know, um, that's certainly what I would recommend. I know a handful of
Well,
companies.
let me just ask you, David, are they going to be able to get the proper colors because they're not going to have the profiles.
Heck no.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and so are they doing the right thing? But if somebody is just doing Etsy monograms and spot color, maybe they don't really care about the color. It is what it is. I see these people that are selling transfers on Etsy or whatever. Um, I
All
think
day long.
I think the majority of time um, that since you don't have a point of comparison, it is what it is. Here's what I got. Buy it.
We have people come in the group and they will post something that they printed and they pressed, they bought one and they want to know why their color's off. So then when you start asking them the questions, then the bottom line is it came from a transfer. They don't know if it's an Epson, they don't know if it's a Sawgrass. They have no idea what printer, what ink, anything. And I just want to say thank you, Alice, for posting that for me. And Tony asked, do you see Sawgrass lowering ink cost?
So certainly, we're curious as to how the Epson will affect Sawgrass. But remember, the Epson is in the grand scheme of things is a lot more expensive than the Sawgrass. It's $1,000 more, um, and so you have to go through a fair amount of ink to sort of break even. Assuming you really can't take advantage of the wider roll and all that. So ultimately, I think that
I don't
Sawgrass.
know, David. I gotta. I mean, within 1 year, if you have a SG 800 and you're printing full sheets, you're you're gonna go through. I mean, and the ink is what, $400-500 to replace for 800. It's at
So it's
least four, right?
it's um it's about 300 and something dollars for a set of the standard, I think. And then you can buy extended cartridges. The extended cartridges give you about a 30% cost savings. But remember, 1 milliliter of the Sawgrass ink is the equivalent of 3 milliliters of Epson ink. And that's because the technology is different. So the Sawgrass printers are made by Rico. They use a thick, very thick ink called a gel ink. Epson inks are very watery, if you will.
Hmm.
So there's a huge quote quote efficiency difference.
Right.
But
Right.
still, the Epson is if you pay the money to buy the printer, then you're going to reap the low cost ink savings. I mean, after all, with the purchase of the printer, you get two sets of inks. Um, and so two sets of inks plus you get the roll paper. On the other hand, the Sawgrass printers are very compact, don't take up much space. They're really fast, um, and you know they've got every bell and whistle as far as support,
That's
choices
that's the
on
truth.
color
Yeah.
profile. Blacks are extremely good. Um, Creative Studio is give you a license to that. And by the way, I did a survey some time ago, and the number of people that are buying the printer, if you ask them what will be their predominant software, about 30% now, it's risen, are buying it for Creative Studio. And so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
impressive. Um,
Well,
plus, plus
considering that our group, we get a lot of people coming in from the vinyl world, and they are used to silhouette, so it's easy to print. I don't know if that's the case with the Epson, though I can certainly try it, but I know that for the most part, the silhouette is fairly easy to use the Sawgrass with no issues. And for a beginner doing sublimation, you don't want to compound learning curves. So when you're trying to learn a new software, I think in reality that Creative Studio is a lot like Silhouette, unlike say Photoshop or Corel Draw. So that's just my opinion, but
So I
anyway.
think the Epson will do a fantastic job, Mac or PC, with Silhouette. I don't see any challenges at all. On the Sawgrass side, I would say that for folks that are using our technology, the Spectre Fusion, Mac or PC, with the Sawgrass, you're great. If you're a Mac person and using VPM with Silhouette, um, could be better because on the Mac there is no direct print option for Silhouette. You save your file, you drop it into the hot folder for VPM, and then it prints. If you just simply use our free software, Spectre Fusion, we take care of that. You're back to a file print. So the way Epson sort of does it is certainly a little bit like we do it. We are going to profile the Epson and
Which I'm
have
excited about.
Spectre Fusion for it. But I would say that out of the box, using the built-in profiles in the driver, it's respectable output. I think we can get better simply because with Spectre Fusion, we put the profile in the application like Corel, Photoshop, that kind of thing. And so you automatically get better color by doing that because there's no translation going on as you print. So I think we can get a little bit better color
With the Spectre Fusion with Epson.
on the Epson. I think a little
Yeah.
bit, but today I will tell you that certainly it looks good.
Well, I'm
I think
certainly
the Epson
going to
value
be do.
equation
Yeah.
for a sublimator who's going through a lot of ink. I think there's a great value equation there. New person, you know, certainly it's going to be a great printer for them. It's a lot of printer. So
Hmm.
if somebody said, "Hey, you know, I'm gonna only do shirts. That's the only thing I'm gonna do. I think the Epson certainly is a worthy printer to consider because it prints bigger. Your paper
Right.
is going to be bigger than the heat press, so you're not going to get the the marks where the paper
The
edge.
lines.
On the other hand, for the money, you can do shirts very well with the Sawgrass printer. So again, it's like many things in life. We now have more choices.
And it is a phenomenal choice, I might add. And I would say that, if, like somebody asked me if I was getting rid of my sawgrass. There's no way I'm getting rid of my sawgrass. First off, I love being able to print with my mug paper that I get from Condi. And I've been doing that for years and years and years. I would be lost without that because I don't have to cut it down. I have the perfect size every single time. It saves time, it saves money. It's crazy good, in my opinion. And it's very inexpensive to get that mug paper. So, and I always use the 4 by 9.5, I believe. I
Yeah,
forgot to
that's
plug
that's
in,
what
so
it
give
is
me a
for the
second here.
15 ounce. And I haven't given up in cramming our mug paper in the Epson, but at this point in time, the specs say no, and the paper tray says no. So my only other option is to figure out a way to do it with the roll paper. Maybe I will. Um, so again, it's my job, and I'm signed up for to extract more value out of the printer than Epson delivers. So it's my job to change that value equation, and I think it's so much fun to do that.
It's, you know, there's just nothing that I can say negative at this point. But I do want to show everyone because people were asking me um, about comparing Sawgrass to the Epson. So one is Epson and one is Sawgrass, and honestly, it's very difficult, I think, to see a difference. So this one is Epson. This one is Sawgrass. Yeah.
Yeah,
So pretty
they
good, right?
both look good. You might also print a photograph so we can see flesh tones. Flesh tones are the eye is
That's
very
yeah.
sensitive to flesh tones. Spot colors are obviously challenging because you're not sure what they should look like, other than that Santa
Right, right.
Claus's hat is supposed to be red.
Yeah. I love the way that it came out. I mean, that was just it was it's something I already had in the computer. I didn't have to go design anything, and it was quick, and so I really thought it came out great. Okay, so let's see, Tanya. I would love to know what your comment meant when you said, "Oh wow, that's expensive." Were you talking about the $1,000 for the Epson, or were you talking about the Sawgrass ink? And then Tony said, getting rid of my SG800, going to get the Epson. Well, Tony, let me tell you, I love it. That's all I'm going to tell you. I
Well,
really
one
love it.
strategy for a lot of people is I think almost everybody should go mobile, meaning they ought to hit events in their area or close by, set up with a little printer, a little heat press, and make money. I mean, it's ridiculously easy to do, and
Yeah,
uh, and so I think everybody ought to have an SG 400. I mean, complete. They're less than $500, and you just need to discipline yourself to do it. I mean, for instance, these millennials are getting married, and why not work a deal and set up at these weddings You could think of so many events, whether
Yeah.
it be a family reunion, whether it be some sort of annual event, Christmas bazaar, where you're sitting there on site making products. Um, I would not even suggest you take an 800. Just take a 400 and set up and make money. So I think once you sort of
Well, you definitely couldn't do that with the Epson.
yeah, once you sort of drink the sublimation coffee, I think you need to go mobile. I think mobile is the way
That's
to make
funny,
above
David.
average profits. I remember yesterday I had a conversation with a person, and they were talking me into it, which is odd. They were explaining to me why they were going to make really good money because they had a lot of tourists. It was set up at the beach near here, and they were explaining their strategy. And about the only comment I had was, "You need power."
Yeah.
You think about, like with Corel, you could create a design template for the event. You drop their photograph, you power clip it in there, you print it, and literally you could be done in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Use the kiosk to get their photo, you power clip it into their frame, you print it, and you're pressing it. Certainly within 2 minutes, you ought to be pressing it. And how much money can you make at that? Great. I mean, you pick only a handful of products to do. One of my favorite new products is the 5x7 and 8x10 textured hardboard panels. Got the little kickstand that goes in the back. We were doing them there in Charlotte at the kiosk. They're great products.
Yeah, they are.
Relatively low cost. Crank those puppies out.
That would absolutely be awesome at a wedding where you're taking pictures with whoever on the dance floor. You want to put that on there. Oh, that'd be great. Okay, so I have a bunch of questions here. Is there a design program that comes with the Epson? And the answer is no to that, which again is one of the reasons that we were talking about the benefit of having the Sawgrass, because it does come with the Creative Studio, and they are literally on the cutting edge of growing that software, and you guys are going to love it. That's I mean,
They've been
really,
working
it's
at Sawgrass, to their credit, has been working at making Creative Studio into a powerhouse for
yeah.
3+ years, and I think they've done it. So
Wait
for
till you
folks,
see what's coming, though,
yeah.
David. It's
So
wow.
so I think it's and Cheryl's more up to speed than I am. I'll be interested to read your article. I would say that the only thing you need to remember about Creative Studio, you need internet. And today, internet, whether it be the hotspot of your phone, is of course very easy to get, but you do need internet.
I actually did not talk about the upcoming. I was actually talking about and doing a how-to of what is current, and but it is ever evolving, and it's definitely it is a great benefit. It's honestly, it's one of the reasons why when they first came out with that, I was so like, oh my God, I want to see that. But I had the older printer, so I couldn't. And I'm so glad that I got a Sawgrass. I really am. Okay, didn't Jimmy Lamb talk about the new things for Creative Studio at the summit? Maybe, but not. I mean, they actually had the beta version at Printing United, and it was really phenomenal for
Yeah, I would tell
sure.
you, write an article about that. I mean, write an article about because it's
Absolutely.
public knowledge, because they were showing it at Printing United, and
Yeah.
I know I heard that it has a mock-up feature. I heard you've got posting features to Instagram, Facebook. So it seems like it's really, and with the deluxe clip art available with the subscription. I was watching their little. Did you see their little video they posted today?
I did not.
Um, so that lady, I can't remember her name. What's the video girl? Um, so
I don't
it's not
remember.
Marley. It's well, anyway, I thought it would start with M. Anyway, she posted a video, and I stopped watching it about 4 minutes.
Megan.
Megan, I stopped watching 4 minutes in because you know I had too many ADD distractions. But basically, um, she was sitting down with a lady who just found out that she was pregnant and was going to sublimate a bunch of things like little baby clothes and um, so basically, I guess the theme of the video was that
The new baby
sublimators
stuff.
would be
Yeah.
selling into the baby shower market,
Okay.
shower gifts,
That's
things like
so
that.
funny,
Which, of
David.
course,
That's so
is
funny.
I think a gold mine. You got weddings as a gold mine, pets as a gold mine,
Absolutely.
uh,
Yeah.
baby
Baby.
showers. People are
Absolutely.
going to spend the
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. Well, themed things. Okay, so we do have more questions though. Okay, before we lose them. Okay. Big question is shelf life of Epson ink. When Sawgrass came out originally, life of ink was low.
So I'm asking Epson a couple of questions to clarify some of these questions to make sure I give you good advice. So the bottle itself, when you get the bottle, it has a date on it. Looks like it's plus 2 years to me. So that bottle unopened is plus 2 years. The question people are asking is, once I sort of dump ink in the printer, is there a use by life for sort of open ink? Because the Epson is a vented ink system because it's a bulk ink system. So there's a hole, and air comes in through that hole. So when you pull ink out of the bulk system, air comes in to replace where there was ink. And I'm going to get clarification. Best I can tell, it's probably about 6 months. So essentially, the indication would be, hey, you need to be using the ink that's in your printer, and you need to be sort of in a position to pour new ink, at least every 6 months.
Well, and I do want to say that I called Epson. I did talk to them. I did have that conversation, and they said that um, there was no difference. That what the expiration date on on the bottle was the same as if it were in the printer. But I totally get what you're saying, and the thing that would kind of sort of bother me, and obviously you can speak to this, David, is the ink settling. So because you can, it's not like you can take it out and shake it or something like that.
yeah.
So
So we have a great deal of experience with the big brother, big sister of the 570. Um, and and so we know for a fact that on those printers, if someone spends the money on a big printer and essentially doesn't print with it for a long time, the printer is real still. It's not moving, it's not doing anything, and on those printers, Epson ultimately started putting a ink stirrer in the black slot to allow you to stir the ink. Um, and for really low volume people, maybe they should have put a stir for all four colors. Um, so you need to use the printer. If you're not going to use the printer, then maybe you shouldn't buy it. Because
mhm,
what's the reason to buy it?
right.
Now, things for life, occasions of life pop up. So, to my knowledge, there's no way, quote, to stir the ink that's in this printer. Is that really a problem? I would say it would probably be a very rare situation. But ultimately, printing is the best, prescription for this printer. Just print. Obviously, if you're printing, the printer is vibrating a little bit, even though it's a very precision piece of equipment. It's going to shake a little bit as the printer is doing things. Only time will tell, as to what this situation means. Now, with the black ink for this printer, Epson did go with their newer formulation of the black. So it's a good black. But ultimately, all sublimation inks over time will settle. So it's just part of a complex ink. It's a dispersed dye suspended in a solution, and that's why there's a date to begin with. Epson makes certainly a very respectable sublimation ink. Now, there are whole companies that focus only on making sublimation ink. So there's a lot of exciting futures out there
Sure.
For sublimation ink. But
Well,
again,
I want to share a story that happened to me with my Muto. Um, um, the Muto has a self cleaning, if you will. Um, uh, so that if you don't use it for a while, it's taking care of the heads and doing its thing like the Sawgrass does. So what happened was we had lost power, and I thought the printer had come back online, but it didn't. So it was out for like 2 weeks. So I go to print, and I mean, it was terrible. The lines, and I'm like, oh my God, And so I printed out the palette, and it's this huge, long, big paper. Um, and I did that like 3 times. I was doing the head cleanings. I did it like 3 times. Nothing. So then I started printing other things, and I got to tell you, I mean, I really thought, okay, one of the print heads is gone, but I printed enough that it worked its way through, and probably because I caught it in enough time where I didn't, you didn't cross over. But I would tell you not to give up if that ever happened, because mine was taken care of, and I'm thankful for that. But
yeah,
because
if you run into a nozzle check problem, then you're really down to two possibilities when you start trying to recover it. Number one, is the nozzle check staying exactly the same? Or number two is it changing? Is it getting better, worse? Is it moving around? The better scenario would be better, worse, it's moving around, because that means ink is sort of moving around, and it has the opportunity to sort of fix itself, to remove the air that is
ah
firing instead of ink. That's sort of what's happening. Air is bad, and so as you're firing ink out, basically it's sort of recoiling like you see a speaker, like a cone on a speaker. It's pushing out and then it pulls back. That's really sort of what's happening at the print head. It's pushing out, but then it pulls back a little bit. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is flush all that air that's begun to accumulate, um, in there. And once the air's out, we're hoping all the nozzles are still firing. And if you have a nice printer, you know, probably it's going to recover. But again,
Well, Mickey told me it was like $1,500 for a print head. I was like, wait, what?
so
So
for a nice printer like yours, and I suspect the print head on an F570 may even be more than that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'm
so
sure.
typically, a print head, these print heads now cost about what the printer cost. And so I've told people to for the small amount that you would pay for the extended warranty,
Yes,
like on the
let's get it.
F570, I'm going to buy that $200 extended warranty or whatever it is in a heartbeat without even thinking, because I know that the print head cost is likely to be the cost of the printer. Um,
Yes, yes,
it's just how it is. That print head in there is the die sub F series print head, fantastic print head. And so go read my article a little bit where I'm talking about the printer. But bottom line is, even if you have an 800, I recommend people buying the extended warranty. It's a really small amount of money. Now on a 400, I think the extended warranty, I don't know, maybe $99 or whatever. It's your call, whether or not you want to do that. 800, yes. F570, yes. With the Muto, the advantages of the Muto, it uses an Epson printhead. um, the advantages of the Epson of the Muto is you can replace the printhead yourself. It can be done by a non-service guy. Takes a little bit of skill, but it's not rocket science. Also with the Mutos, you can put essentially whatever ink you want to in the printer. There's no sublimation police that's going to
right,
stop you. With the
right,
Epson, you should never put um, anything other than Epson dye sub printer ink in that, the Epson ink. If you do it, you are foolish and crazy. With the Mutos, um, ultimately, if an outdoor ink came along or something exotic like strange neon inks, nobody's going to stop you. And if it's a good quality of ink, probably going to be okay. But ultimately, you are going to go through a print head, just like you would on any printer. The print head could fail at 2 years, it could fail at 3 years, it could fail at four. How long have you had yours, Cheryl?
I think probably about 4 years.
Yeah. So again, the print head unfortunately is a little bit of a consumable. It's something you replace, just like you replace certain parts on your car at some point, like a water pump or radiator or whatever. Um, so that's just how it is. So the difference between the Epson big printers, the Muto, is you have some ink independence of what you can put in it. You have the ability to service the printer yourself or with somebody that's comfortable, working on it. With an Epson printer, they're going to be a precision machine. You're not going to be touching it, nor should you touch it yourself. Um, you're going to be relying on Epson to work on the printer. But on the other hand, Epson's a very good precision machine. Sawgrass, we're in the boat of you're not really going to be working on it yourself. We do have some
Right.
things that we can share with you to do to keep the printer going. But if you lose a print head, then
It's pretty
probably
well
the
over.
print head cost as much as the printer.
So, just for people to know about the Epson, one of the things that I love about it is that I can print directly from my Mac, which is where I design, and the joy that I have in doing that, because I was, to be able to print now for my pillows and stuff that I do, it's so amazing compared to having to send it to my Dell to then send it to the RIP program for the Muto. So I can assure you I will be getting a lot of use out of the Epson, and that's exciting. It really is exciting. So for
But
me,
please understand that as you go to a bigger printer, you know, really these big printers, the 44-inch, really that's the domain of rips. You can do magic with a rip by putting your jobs together. You have color management tools that we don't have. And so again, it's the difference between sort of a company that has one desk and a company that sort of a two desk model where they're taking jobs that are already, the artwork is done, they're dropping them on one piece of paper, they're printing multiple jobs sort of at the same time.
so okay, so and for me, when I'm doing one-offs or I'm demonstrating something, to have to go and print it on the Muto is just a pain in the butt for me. It
Sure.
really
I
is.
and I
And
hear you loud and
especially,
clear.
yeah, especially when you got like a 33-inch paper in there and you're only,
Yep.
really only needing an 8 by, because I have the 400. Well,
Yep.
it would be bigger than that. But whatever,
And
you know what I'm saying.
that is awesome with the Epson because with the 570, you do have a few cut sheet paper options. You do have
Yes.
roll options, and those do work seamlessly together.
And so, okay, so speaking of that, and I know we do have a couple other questions. So speaking on that, um, so apparently, David, you guys got in some Epsons.
So we've been obviously having more orders than we have printers, and so we've been trying to figure out any way we can to take care of our clients that want to buy an Epson printer. And so I was notified a few minutes before we were gonna go live that we had managed to get more printers. And so bottom line is, if you want an Epson printer, especially before Christmas, then you need to call us so that we can get your order in, so that as the printers are available, we'll ship printers to you. So again,
And you guys do get an extra when you say you're with my group. So just know that. I don't want to necessarily get into what it is on here though. So Lori asked, once you have printed an image, how soon do you need to press that image?
so that's an age-old question that I've been trying to answer probably for 15 years. And so I've developed some rules of thumb, and I would say certainly I would like to see you print within a week. But I know people who, print like you, Cheryl, and maybe they collect the print jobs, and maybe months go by, and
Yeah.
you're still able to transfer them. So I have no hard and fast rule, but I would say just as we'll call it under the good hygiene kind of practice, I would say that why print if you're not going to press it within a week?
Okay, so let's see. So I'm going to answer that, David. If I mean, to me, one of the reasons why somebody might want to do that, if they for whatever reason have not printed for a bit, and they need to get some action going on their printer to be able to to print a couple of things, print some transfers, and put them aside. But okay, so
Well,
let's
what I would
see.
say is in that case, like with a Sawgrass printer, I tell people just print a Word document with one letter onto plain paper. That's keeping the printer healthy right there. So you don't actually have to do quote quote a transfer. Just moving a piece of paper with one letter on it from Word is good enough to get the job done. Because after all, when you begin your print, the printer is ready to do it all. It's ready to print all the colors. And so
Right.
it's sort of getting everything ready, and it's sort of immaterial to some extent. Are you going to really print a full color transfer, or are you just sort of going to do one black and white letter? So just doing something is the important thing.
Okay, so okay. Tony says everybody should master power clipping. Let's see, just think if you had a class.
I would agree with Tony big time. Power clip is just an awesome feature.
It is. And
I'd like somebody that's really Illustrator savvy to tell me what Illustrator calls that feature.
Well, I don't know about Illustrator, but I know that in Photoshop it's clipping mask, and it's clipping mask. And
speaking of Illustrator, precisely is what do you call it? You know, so if somebody let me know, because I don't want to say, you know, life should revolve around Corel when you don't know Corel and you know Illustrator, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Alice, do you know what that would be? Because I'm not real savvy with Illustrator. Okay, so once you have we answered that. Okay. Just think if you had a Class C RV with a generator, plenty of storage and awning to work under. You can go to remote beaches. That would be great. Illustrator also calls it clipping mask. Okay. So it's clipping mask.
Zach, is David. That true? Yes, sir. Okay. Zach is behind the camera, and he's one of our new folks here, and he's doing a lot of the Condi design work. And so, you know, did you go to school and learn this stuff? I guess you did, right? Yes, sir. I have a graphic design degree. He has a graphics design degree. How about that? Predominantly Illustrator. So it's clipping mask or clipping path or
it's clipping mask.
I'm talking about dropping a photograph into a say an outline or
say letters. Yeah. It's clipping mask.
Yep. Good deal.
Yeah. Same thing in Photoshop. So okay. Thanks, so thank you, Zach. That was thank you. Okay. So okay, David, we're going to announce the winner of oh my gosh. So the winner gets $250 Condi credit. And maybe we should have Zach create it, but I was thinking of anyway. I better ask you before I put it out there. But let me just give some notables, some shout outs here of the names, and then we'll announce the winner. Okay, because there were some really good ones. Sub It Up with David and Cheryl. Your Sublimation Destination with David and Cheryl. Sublimation and Beyond.
Too many good names.
I know. It's true. Sublimation and Beyond with Cheryl and David. Raising the Bar for Sublimation. And listen, there were so many way too many to choose from, honestly. Sublimate Your Way to Success. Let's Do Submazing Things with David and Cheryl. I like that one. Sublimation University with David and Cheryl. That's a good one. Tony's was the Sublimation Channel and Beyond. Jim's was DC Superheroes. Imagination Sublimation, the what, when, why, and how with David and Cheryl. Okay, so maybe what I should do is take some of these and let the group vote as to which one it should be. What do you think about that, David?
I'm game for anything. Let's just choose a darn name and
And
move
do
forward.
it. And do it. Okay, so this is the one I really thought was really cool because it had but I
Now,
think it might be
you can't
long.
ask the people to vote if you're going to tell them what you like. It doesn't work that way.
Well, I know, but we've been waiting way too long, and we need to do it now because we have way too many videos to add. So, should we just do a winner, David? Should we just pick a winner?
I don't know what to do. I do not know what to do.
We talked about this earlier, though. Okay, so guys, what do you think? Everybody say something so we can move on. I think we'll just do a vote, and that way, whoever has the most votes wins out of these names that were already picked. I like it. David, did we lose you to ADD?
Not quite yet, but it's getting close. Not quite yet.
Okay, let's see. You pick, choose now. You pick. Okay, so they're saying for us to pick, David.
I think you ought to pick, Cheryl. I'll go along with whatever you think best.
Okay, so we're gonna go with DC Sublimation. Even though I like David and Cheryl, Sublimation, design, inspiration, education, because that's really what we do, right? Am I stuck with that now?
Whatever you want to do.
I subbed it up short and sweet. I subbed it up. What's that? You want to do stuff?
I'm the worker bee. Let's choose a name and start doing videos.
I know. Okay, so all right. I don't know, David, because there's some really, really good ones here. I like Sublimation and Beyond with David and Cheryl.
Let's table it just a little bit longer, and I'll look them over one more time.
Okay, good. All right, I like that. So one more week, we'll do it for one more week, and then we will choose the winner next week.
We're gonna end the episode on the cliffhanger.
Yes.
And resume the cliffhanger. You know.
I agree.
Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner, and we'll resume and finally make a decision.
Yes. So next Thursday, the winner will be announced. And
what in the world does DC stand for? I'm just kidding.
But the truth is, people would go, "What does DC stand for?" Right? I mean, like Washington, D.C. That's what I would think if I didn't know David and Cheryl.
So we've run over our time, but I was going to transfer the little ornament. This has become my favorite little product. You got 3 ornaments.
I'm getting some of those. I want you to know.
You got to see it to believe it. It is the cutest little thing. So order the darn things. They are great.
I know. I love it.
So you got this little thing here.
That's awesome. Way cute.
You got the little guy here.
That's really
I don't know where this guy is from, but he looks familiar. But super easy. And then my favorite one is the ornament where you transfer it all the sides.
Yeah, that's really cute.
And you just slide it in.
Yeah.
And the reason I like them is because they're unique, they're easy, and they're low cost.
And they're lightweight. They hang beautifully on the tree when they're lightweight. I love that. Yes, really cute. Can we sublimate YouTube names?
So they're F0 part numbers. F0917, F0918, F0920.
Very cool, David.
I think they're the most exciting thing for Christmas. because they're going to be products that your client has never seen before.
That's true. So Lisa says DC Comics, laugh out loud. Okay, y'all. Okay, so we are calling it a day. Thank you, David, as always, for your time, and I love them.
Awesomely cute. Awesomely.
Yes, they are. So maybe we can both sublimate one next week. Maybe if we can ever pick a winner. Okay, beam me up, David and Cheryl.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys have a great night. We will continue this next week. And okay. Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye. All right, thank
Take
you.
care.
All right. You